I'm sharing 12 secret strategies on how you can launch a successful sustainable fashion brand that makes a minimum of $20,000. So grab a notebook, grab a pen, and let's dive in. The first secret strategy is that you need to pick and choose your sustainability priorities. Now hear me out. As a sustainable fashion brand, you're already going to be doing more than the average fast fashion brand. That's just a given. So given that and the fact that you're a startup brand with limited time, limited resources, limited budget, and also limited energy, I don't want you to spread yourself thin. Because when we spread ourselves thin, we can't have the impact that we want to make. So that's why we need to pick and choose our priorities. And in other words, pick and choose your battles. So decide if you want to go all out on combating textile waste, or decide if you want to eliminate as much plastic as possible from your supply chain. Really figure out what's important to you. And then as you grow and as you scale, as you get more support and you get more revenue, then you can tackle more. But if you try to do everything right from the get-go, it's going to be really overwhelming and you're not going to make as big of an impact as you would have hoped. So pick and choose your sustainability priorities. My next secret strategy is that you can find, hire, and trust experts to bring your designs to life. Contrary to popular belief, you do not need a fashion background to start a fashion brand, nor do you need a fashion background to be successful. Instead, you're going to find, hire, and trust experts to bring your designs and your products to life, like I mentioned. And how you're going to do that is you're going to cast a really wide net. We want to make sure that you have a really good list of people that could potentially work with you and for your brand. And then from that list, you're going to narrow it down. You're going to ask them questions and essentially almost like interview them, if you will, to really find the perfect fit for you and for your brand. And some questions you can ask are, what do they specialize in? What is their pricing like? Can they show you a portfolio of things they have worked on before? And then that way you can really narrow down who you think will be the best fit for you and your brand. So I have some exciting news. I'm hosting a free Launch Your Fashion Line Masterclass and I could not be more excited. I'm going to be sharing secret strategies I usually reserve for top clients, and in particular, we're going to be deep diving on 4 topics. First of all, I'm going to share how to successfully fund your brand even if you have $0. Next, I'm going to be giving you my tried and true system on how to produce and create beautiful products even if you don't have a fashion background. And thirdly, we're going to be reviewing how you can source sustainable materials and ethical manufacturers even if you don't have industry connections. And last but not least, I'm sharing my proven roadmap on how you can build a community of your ideal clients so that when you launch, they are so excited to buy from you and you can make a minimum of $20K. We're going to be talking about all of this and more. As well, I'm going to be answering any questions you have. So please bring your questions. I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to answer them. That being said though, we do have limited spots for this masterclass. So make sure you sign up ASAP. The link to do so is recloseted.com/masterclass. It's on the screen. It's going to be linked down below. So make sure you sign up and I can't wait to see you there. My next secret strategy is to leverage self-funding and pre-sales to fund your brand. I know starting a fashion brand can be really expensive, and so that's why I always tell our clients to leverage self-funding and pre-sales, and I will break that down. So self-funding essentially means that you're going to fund your brand yourself, and you can do that from working a 9-to-5 job, doing contract gigs, and or using your savings. And self-funding is important because there's startup costs that you will likely need to fork over yourself. And so that could include, getting a lawyer, getting an accountant, signing up for a website domain, like all those different things that you need to set up your business. And the next big ticket item when it comes to starting a fashion brand is the production costs. So the material costs and also, of course, the manufacturing costs. And instead of putting tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars into production, I always tell our clients to do pre-sales. And so what that means is your customers are going to prepay you for a garment, and then you're going to take that money to get the materials, to get the production done, and you don't have to put up your own money for that, which is great. So that's why we always tell our clients to leverage self-funding and pre-sales to really be able to fund their brand. And the other amazing thing about pre-sales as well is that you will know exactly how much to produce so that you're not going to be overproducing, which is better for your wallet and also for the environment. So definitely make sure you leverage self-funding and pre-sales to fund your brand. I know there's other funding mechanisms out there, but these are the 2 that have worked the best for our clients. The next secret strategy is that you need to know your numbers. You cannot stick your head in the sand and not know what's going on in your business. So that means you need to know your costs, you need to know your revenue, and then of course your profit. And when you're first starting out, you're going to have a lot of costs or expenses, and that's okay. But for every cost, you need to know what the ROI or the return on investment is going to be. You also need to know exactly how much it costs to make your products. And then you need to price them strategically so that you make enough of a margin and a profit so that you can be sustainable and successful as a business. If I'm being blunt, at the end of the day, cash, money, and capital is what is going to be the lifeline of your business. And if you don't have enough of all three, then you don't really have a business. And instead, your fashion line is merely a hobby. I know it's kind of blunt, but if you really want to build a successful business, then you need to know your numbers. Do not stick your head in the sand. And I don't want to see more of that starving artist mentality out there. I really do believe that you can build a successful, sustainable fashion brand that makes a minimum of $20K upon launching, but you need to know your numbers. The next secret strategy is to take a customer-first approach. A lot of fashion designers fall in love with their products and think that if they love it, everyone else will as well. So then they sink tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars into production. And then when they finally launch, there's crickets and no one's buying anything. And then at that point, they're stressing out, they're calling me up and they're saying, Selena, I don't know what to do. I have so much unsold inventory. All my money's in these clothes that aren't selling. What do I do? And that's such a nightmare situation to be in. It's so stressful to have your money tied up in unsold inventory, and I don't want that to happen to you. So instead of taking a product-first approach, which those designers did, I want you to take a customer-first approach. What I mean by that is to put your customers first, and you're going to really get to know them inside and out, figure out what problem and what pain point you're going to solve for them, and then make the solution. So that way you really validate the products that you're making so that you are certain that it's going to solve a problem for your ideal customer so that when you finally make it, you sell out when you launch. So that's really, really important. And how you can do that is identify your ideal customer first, get to know them through either surveys or interviews. I get our clients to use both. And then you're really going to co-create a solution with them, make sure you validate it, and only when they tell you, oh my God, I need this, when is this coming out, then and only then do you go and produce those products. And in doing so, you can rest assured that there is demand for the product you're making, and that way you can actually launch, sell out, and make a minimum of $20K. The next secret strategy is to launch with 1 to 2 products. Now hear me out. When people hear that, they get upset, but for your first launch collection, you want to make sure you knock it out of the park. Your products solve a problem, they're high quality, they're really well made, and people are clamoring to get their hands on them. That's really the objective. And as a startup brand, you likely have limited time, limited resources, and limited budgets. And so I don't want you to be spread thin over a 5 or a 10 or a 15 or even a 20-piece collection, because it's not going to be done as well as if you really devoted everything to those 1 or 2 products. So that's why I always recommend to our clients to launch with 1 to 2 products. It's so crucial. And then once you establish that brand loyalty and that brand trust, and your customers know the quality that is associated with your brand, then for your next collection, by all means, if you want to do a 5 or a 10 or 15 or 20-piece collection, you can go for it. But for your first collection, I really recommend you only do 1 to 2 products so you knock it out of the park. And my next secret strategy is to keep your production simple. When it comes to your material, try to just use 1 material for your 1 to 2 products. That's another reason why I recommend only launching with 1 to 2 products. And then also, if you can, do your production locally so that you can get to know them, you can ask them questions, and it's not so stressful. So try to keep your production as simple as possible. That will really help you with your first collection. My next secret strategy is that you need to build your community at least 6 months in advance. You don't want to launch and have crickets and have no one buying your products. So it is so important to build an intentional community of your ideal customers so that when you launch, it's not just your friends, it's not just your family members that are going to buy things from you, but strangers and people that will actually benefit from your products. So take at least 6 months to intentionally build your community, and bonus points if you can do it for even longer. My next secret strategy is to leverage 1 social media platform and pair it with email marketing. As a startup brand, you have limited time, you have limited resources, and you have limited budgets. As such, it is so important to be very choosy with how you spend your time. And when it comes to your marketing, if you want to grow a community so that you actually have people to sell to when you launch and you don't just get crickets, then you need to put all of your eggs in 1 basket, and you need to choose 1 platform, and you need to choose wisely, might I add. You want to make sure that your ideal customer is on that platform. You want to make sure they are excited to view your content there, and then put all your eggs in one basket, like I mentioned, so that you can actually create really good content, you can be consistent and actually add value to their lives, which sounds a lot harder than it actually is. So that's why I always tell our clients to do one social media platform, double down on it. And then you also want to leverage email marketing as well, because you won't be at the beck and call of algorithms. You actually own that customer real estate, and when you pair both of them together, that's how you're going to be successful at launch. And you also want to make sure you take, again, at least 6+ months to build up your social media platform as well as your email list, so that when you launch, you don't get crickets. The next secret strategy is that you need to know your why. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Starting a business, especially a fashion line, can be really difficult. You're going to inevitably face challenges and have hiccups. And so you need to know your why so that you can continue to keep going and persevere. I really recommend you pause this video, write down your why on a post-it note, and stick it everywhere. Stick it in your bathroom mirror, stick it in your car, stick it in your office, so that you're constantly reminded of why you are starting this journey in the first place. The next secret strategy is to work on your entrepreneurial mindset. This is something you're going to continuously work on. It's not something you do once and then magically it's fixed. And I want you to start right now. So what I mean by entrepreneurial mindset is start to think as an entrepreneur. If you think about it, your business can only go as far as you. And yes, you need the right strategy and you need the right execution, but at the same time, you need to have the right mindset in place, because if you don't have that, none of that really matters, because you're not going to be able to strategize and or execute. So if this is your first time working on your mindset, then there are 3 things I want you to do. The first one is just start to watch how you talk to yourself. Really make sure that you talk to yourself like how you would talk to a friend or a loved one. The second thing is to really make sure you're always connecting with yourself. So you can journal, you can meditate, or do whatever you need to do to make sure you're connecting and grounding into yourself. And then last but not least, the third point is to really start to work on your limiting beliefs. You want to make sure you're not self-sabotaging yourself, and we have conscious and subconscious limiting beliefs. So I would just start to write things down that you feel like you're not going to be able to do or you feel like are holding you back, and just start to identify them and actively work on them. Again, this is not something you do overnight. You're going to continuously work on it, and I think it's a really good practice and habit to get started now. My next secret strategy is that progress is so much more important than perfection. Building a fashion brand has a lot that goes into it, so it is so important that you get started now. Don't give yourself any more excuses, just get going, and no one expects you to be perfect. So just do it, you'll figure it out, and we need more conscious choices in the world, so just get started and remember progress over perfection. If you got a lot out of these secret strategies, you're gonna love my free Launch Your Fashion Line Masterclass. I'm not gonna hold back at this masterclass, and we have limited spots, so if you haven't already, sign up now at recloseted.com/masterclass. I'm so excited to see you at the masterclass, and in the meantime, feel free to binge some of our other YouTube videos, and together, let's transform the harmful fashion industry.